just taken a prisoner. It's not a crank call. I've got a dead man lying on the trigger. Where are you at, sir? I'll send you some help.
A drama which began early this morning is still unfolding tonight on the west side of Indianapolis.
Kiritsis changed his plan and returned to Pennsylvania Street and started walking south. And at that point, he came close to shooting Hall. During Kiritsis' entire downtown walk with Hall, police marksmen were unable to shoot him because he had the wires so entwined around his body and Hall. Kiritsis pulled Hall into the car and forced him to drive west on Washington Street.
It's a bitterly cold morning on February 8th, 1977, on the 4th floor at 129 East Market. That is in downtown Indianapolis, Indiana. The secretary at Meridian Mortgage arrived and went up the elevator and opened the doors at 8 a.m. To their surprise, they saw a man waiting outside. The staff at Meridian Mortgage knew this man well. His name was Anthony Kiritsis. The chairman of Meridian Mortgage, M.L. Hall, had been dealing with Anthony for the past 4 years. On a real estate deal, Tony Kiritsis took out a loan with Meridian Mortgage for $130,000 to help him develop his 17-acre property. His intent was to build a strip mall. He had trouble making payments over the past 4 years. He had been given extension after extension on his loan in order to help him pay it off. And Tony had a payment due on March 1st, 1977, his final payment. His last chance before his land would be foreclosed on. Tony was wearing a sweater over a short-sleeved shirt. Very odd for the weather. Very frigid outside. His left arm was in a sling. He carried a department store box and a rolled-up blueprint. He told the receptionist that he wanted to meet with M.L. Hall, but he was informed that Mr. Hall was on vacation in Florida, but that his son Dick Hall would be arriving shortly. Tony said that he'd be happy to wait. Just as the receptionist said, Dick Hall arrived a few minutes later. Dick was very familiar with Mr. Kiritsis. He had seen his father arguing with the man many times over the past few years. Many heated arguments and expletives thrown in his father's direction. He knew that Tony's March 1st payment was looming. It was due, and it was his last chance to pay it. He figured that Tony had come up with the money somehow. So Dick told Tony, "Follow me to my office." The last time Tony had been to Meridian Mortgage, he was wearing the sling, and he mentioned that he had to get surgery. So Dick asked how the surgery went. Dick took off his coat and went behind his desk. Tony asked if he could close the door and adjust his shorts because they were bothering him. Dick said yes, and searched through some documents on his desk to give Tony some privacy while he adjusted himself. A few moments later, Dick looked up and saw that Tony had taken his arm out of the sling and grabbed a .38 pistol. He threw the blueprints away. Tony ordered him to take off his suit jacket and sit down facing away from him. Tony opened the department store box and Tony took out a double-barrel shotgun and a steel cable. Tony used the steel cable to tie around Hall's neck and to the trigger of the shotgun, and from the trigger to a ring on Tony's finger. Tony did this to keep the shotgun right against the back of Dick Hall's head. If Dick Hall tried to escape, or if the police tried to knock the barrel away, or if a sniper would have taken Tony out, the weapon would automatically discharge. After this, Tony called 911. The newly implemented emergency response system.
I'm having an emergency. Just a minute, please. Hello? Yes. Yes, sir. You'll have to speak up. Is this the police? Yes, it is. Sir, this is a dire emergency. A real serious thing. I've just taken a prisoner. It's not a crank call. Is Lieutenant Joe Collins there?
No, sir. He's on late shift. What problem you got?
Where is he?
He's working late shift, sir. He's off.
Is Billy Cotton there?
No.
Well, then you give me the highest rank officer you got. Dick, stand up slowly. Move that chair over about 3 feet.
Okay, we don't have any in here, sir. What's your problem? I can
Hey, goddammit. I've got a shot 12-gauge shotgun wrapped around a man's neck. I've got a dead man lying on the trigger.
Where are you at, sir? I'll send you some help.
Don't listen, please. I don't really disrespect police officers. I'm a man that these people are trying to bankrupt. They have me around for 4 years.
Where are you at, sir? I don't
I'm
really
at
care
the
what the problem
Harvard
is.
address here.
What is it?
Now, the thing about it, officer, is I want this done my way. You understand that?
What is your address now? Where are you
I'm
located?
trying to find that out, sir, and I can't hear very well my left ear, and I'm holding the gun with my right. Hang on a minute, please.
Okay.
Hang on.
Okay. Gary? Get on 01 with me.
Officer? Sir?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you what I'd like for you to do. I'd like you to send at least 2 police officers. I'll tell you where we are in a minute as soon as I figure it out. Just hang on a minute. I'm a little upset.
Okay, just take it easy.
Set your life on it. This is a bad thing. What's your name?
It's Officer Miller.
Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Yes, sir. I'm not a bad fellow myself.
Well, I know you are. I just want to find out where you are so we can help you.
I'm a mean man, and I'm mad. Now, I want you to send 2 police officers to this address, and I'll tell you what you can tell them. I've got a 12-gauge sawed-off automatic shotgun. I've got a dead man lying on the trigger. There's 3 shells in the gun. There's 1 in the chamber, and a man with a gun on his neck, wrapped around with a cable, is holding the safety in his hand. And if anybody yanks on me, yanks that gun, makes a false move, we'll die right here.
Okay.
Now, I know they got to, they'll do anything to save this man's life. See, because everybody thinks they won't think that I'm a big man, mean to raise money. I'm mad these motherfuckers try to take everything I've got.
Okay, I believe you. Where are you at now?
They've done every yellow thing that there is, and I'm going to tell you something. I have no intention of killing this guy till I have to. But if you doubt that I'll kill him, you're leading me wrong. That's why I asked you get Lieutenant Collins and you get Billy Cotton.
Okay.
My name is Tony Kiritsis. Kiritsis.
Kiritsis?
Kiritsis.
Okay, where are you at, Mr. Kiritsis?
Now, what's this address, Dick? Let me tell you something else, Officer Miller.
Okay.
I'm very concerned about this man's family. Not particularly about his father, who I treated like a goddamn father on many occasions. And he treated me like a dog, and this over here did the same thing. But I'm concerned about his mother and his wife and especially his children. I know that if anybody dies or has a heart attack in this deal, then I'm a doomed man. So if anybody dies in this situation, I'm going to take mine with me. I'm going to have my revenge.
Well, we're going to try to keep that from happening.
Let me tell you something, sir. When you talk to Joe Collins and you talk to Billy Cotton, they'll tell you who the meanest mother they know is.
Well, I believe you. I just want to find out where you're at so we can help
Yes,
you.
sir. These c***ers just bought a Trojan horse. I put it over them. They've been around for 4 years. A deliberate setup. Millions of dollars involved, and they know it.
Okay.
If I could prove in court, if the case would be wild, I wouldn't have to have done this.
Okay, well, if you want Joe to come out there, we don't know where you're at.
I want somebody up there in 10 minutes. Don't turn on no red lights, no signs. I want him to clear the front office. We're on the 4th floor in Dick Hall's office. Dick Hall's holding the safety of this shotgun in his hand. I've got my finger on the trigger. I've got a cable tied to my fingers. I've got a dead man lying on my neck.
Okay, you said Dick Hall's office?
Dick Hall. He's one of the big shots here.
Where's it at? I don't know who he is.
Hey, baby. I thought of that. Mr. Miller?
Yes.
Let's just keep this line open. You send a couple of guys. I don't give a f*** whether I'm or not. I didn't come here to kill a policeman.
Okay, how do I know where you're at? I can't see
I'm
anybody.
trying to tell you. The 4th floor, what's the address?
4th floor, what address?
129 East Market. On the 4th floor in Dick Hall's office.
129 East Market.
East Market. Let me tell you something, sir. You tell those guys to play it too, because this is the real McCoy.
Oh, I believe you.
You better believe it. I'll tell you something. I signed the paper December the 19th, 1972, but I never saw my life, and they were so rigid. They had me cornered. I said, I'll sign the brother, and if they me around, I'll kill them.
Okay.
I tried for 4 years to get away from these mothers.
Mr. Hall there with you?
He's right here at the end of this.
Can I talk to him?
You can say, Dick, now you can't say very much to him, Dave. He's going to be all right. He knows I've got nerves of steel. You know why? They were lucky they were with me. I planned to kill 4 of them right out in the street when they were going to lunch.
Okay, let me talk to Mr. Hall.
You don't have to talk to him. What do you want to say to him? I'll talk to him.
I just want to make sure he's all right.
He's okay. Say hi, Dick. Say you're okay. Don't do this. You want to say you're okay? You want to forget about it. Say you're okay.
Yeah, I'm all right.
Hey, let me tell you something.
Okay.
Mr. Listen to me a second.
Okay.
He's in goddamn good hands if nobody what, if this gun is dropped, pulled out of my hand or whatever, it's too late. Now let me tell you something. I don't want to die. There's no cell in my body. But I'm a mad, mean mother. And if I had time, I'd tell you, you'd be mad too. I'll put it to you this way. If somebody sets you up to take everything you've got, like the fucking mafia, or worse.
What are they, a loan company or something?
You goddamn right.
That's right.
Now, you get me 2 officers up here. I don't want no hostile. I want to clear the front office. I want a car. I've made arrangements to protect this man's life, which is what you're trying to do. But you guys will kill me to protect his.
Okay.
See, I'm trying to save me.
Right. Is this Dick Hall, and what does he run a loan
Hey, that don't
company?
make a bit of difference. Just come to 129 East Market to the 4th floor to his office. Now, give me 2 guys up here, please.
Oh. 2 cars on the way. You hang on, okay?
Okay, baby.
Oh, you got an office number there, Mr. Curtis?
I didn't come up here. Right, but I'm ready. Are you there, Miller?
Yeah, I sure am.
You're overhearing some of this. I'm sorry, I can't hold that phone because I'm in a cramp.
That's all right. I can hear your voice. You're all right.
Yes, sir.
27 on the air.
Have you got somebody coming, baby?
Yes, sir, I have.
We need him.
I got a...
We need him. Right out.
We're trying to get a hold of Joe Collins at home.
You get Joe and you get Billy Cotton, because I love them both.
Yes.
Hey, Miller?
Yeah.
Yeah, baby, I hit the phone.
Yeah, you hung up on me. I got you now.
You get Joe?
Yeah, we're going to get on now. See, he's on the late shift, and he's probably home asleep, or he's working out at Lafayette Square.
He's just a guy. I've known him for about 20 years, 30. And Billy, I've known him for about 5. We're both
Yeah, I trained Billy. He rode with me.
should be a hell of a cop.
He's a good kid. This Mr. Hall, he say he runs a loan company.
Hey, this is Hall Auto Company, Meridian Mortgage.
Meridian Mortgage?
Yeah.
Tony could barely control his emotions. He was angry one minute, and then sad the next, constantly asking for friends who were on the police force. He wanted a police escort out of the building and a car to drive off in. After nearly an hour, Tony moved Dick into the lobby. The first police officer to arrive was Ray Brunk. He made it to the top of the stairs on the 4th floor at the same time he heard a man yelling loud obscenities, and he headed to the lobby to investigate. Brunk got closer and closer, asking what was he mad about. Tony pulled out the .38 pistol and jammed the barrel into Brunk's stomach, saying, "I want you to look at this. I don't think you understand just how serious this is." Brunk looked for any way to get Tony away from Hall or to get the weapon away, but the wire was way too tight around Dick Hall's neck. Just as this was happening, another police officer arrived, and Tony demanded a police car. The other police officer's name was Kaufman. He walked right up to Tony and put his shotgun to Tony's head. Tony was unafraid, and he said, "I mean no harm. I like the police." Tony had also put a brown leather sleeve over the firing mechanism, making it impossible for anyone to try to disarm the weapon in any way. After a few moments, another police officer arrived. They assessed the situation and determined this, realizing how dire the situation was for Dick Hall. The police's plan was to keep Tony on the 4th floor that they could surround the building and secure it. Tony realized this, and he started shoving Hall with the barrel down the stairway. He ordered Kaufman to make sure that no police were on the 1st floor, and Tony forced Hall down the staircase. A news reporter had been going up the stairs, hearing about the event that was transpiring. The word had been put out. There was an armed gunman with a hostage. He spotted the police officers following behind with their guns raised into the air, powerless over the situation, and a frantic Dick Hall struggling to breathe due to how tight the wire was around his neck, eyes darting from side to side, looking for some way to escape. At 9:10 a.m., Tony pushed Dick Hall out into East Market into the frigid 10-degree weather. They both had no jackets, and Tony was in a short-sleeved shirt. Tony wanted to find his car because the police had not listened to his demands. They did not leave a car running downstairs for Tony to get in and drive off. All Tony had to do was walk out the doors, turn right, and head a short distance to the parking area where he left his car. Due to the situation, Tony was very irate and confused. He turned left, heading to a nearby parking garage that was not his own. Tony seemed lost. He walked into a parking garage. He saw a man that he knew and asked to borrow his car. The man stepped away and told Tony no. At 9:15 a.m., they left the parking garage, walking south on Pennsylvania, then turning left onto Washington, a main road in downtown Indianapolis. A large amount of police following from a distance, with more reporters arriving on scene. The police officers were ordered to reholster their weapons. At 9:21, Tony pushed Hall into the entryway of Richmond Brothers clothing store, but the door was locked. This gave the police a few extra minutes to try to figure out a plan to rescue Dick Hall. Tony's emotions became frantic. He went from being nice and cordial to extreme anger in a moment's notice. He told the police that he had a lot of friends in law enforcement, and that he meant no harm to the police, and that he would switch it up and yell at them, saying if they didn't want Hall to die, they better get the hell back. An officer with hostage negotiation training had arrived. His name was Officer Grabble. He walked towards Tony with his arms stretched out, showing that he was unarmed. Tony shouted that he was getting too close and to back off. "Are you crazy? Do you want me to kill this guy?" Tony started pushing Hall away from the intersection. They were at Illinois and Washington. Tony became irate again. He turned back to yell at the police some more, swinging Hall around with the wire around his neck. At that exact moment, Tony slipped on some ice, and he fell down. Luckily, Dick Hall mirrored Tony's movements and went down at the same time, saving his own life in the process.
I never seen a number bunch of bastards in one school in my life, and I like policemen. So you guys that start acting like you know something. Shut up! Dumb bastard, go!
If Tony fell and Dick Hall did not bend down, Hall would have been shot at point-blank range in the back of the head. The police all drew their guns. As Tony and Dick went to get back up, Tony reached for his waistband, and the police saw that a .38 was tucked into his pants. The weapon shifted, and luckily, Tony just readjusted the weapon. If he had drawn the weapon, the police would have opened fire, killing Tony and unintentionally killing Dick Hall at the same time, with the apparatus that Tony had around his neck, his dead man line. Officer Kaufman stayed close the entire time, looking for an opportunity to save Hall's life. When Tony fell, the wire loosened slightly around Hall's neck. Kaufman thought he could grab the gun and point it towards the sky and disarm him, but without another officer to secure the .38, he could not take the risk. Luckily, he did not do this. Tony most likely would have been killed, and Dick Hall as well. At 9:35 a.m., they reached Senate Street. A police cruiser and an officer were standing in the middle of the intersection blocking traffic. His door was open and the engine was running. He ordered Officer Kaufman to turn around, and he took his handcuffs. Just as this was happening, a curious onlooker was driving past and staring at the strange scene, and he lost control of his vehicle and he struck a light pole. Tony backed away and got into the driver's seat, pulling Dick Hall behind him. Tony got into the passenger seat and ordered Dick Hall to drive. The police and media followed closely behind. Nobody knew where they were headed. Many thought Tony was going on the run, but that's not what Tony had in mind. Tony had Dick Hall drive to the Crestwood Village Apartments, and they entered his third-floor apartment. Tony told the police that he had booby-trapped his apartment. He had actually laid jars of gasoline with candles against the windows, so if a sniper took any shot at him, it would ignite the apartment. Tony held Dick Hall in his bathroom, handcuffed to the toilet. Tony made calls to the radio station WIBC 1070 AM. Newsman Fred Heckman broadcasted what Tony said. He teamed up with police and the FBI. He remained on air to negotiate the release of Dick Hall. Tony demanded an apology from Meridian Mortgage, as well as $5 million in compensation. He also demanded no state, federal, or civil prosecution. 63 hours after Tony kidnapped Dick Hall, a press conference was set up in the lobby of Tony's apartment building in order to try to get Tony to come down. All of his demands were met. He was delivered an apology from Meridian Mortgage by his lawyer, as well as a letter from the prosecutor, which granted immunity to Tony Kiritsis. This worked, and Tony marched Dick Hall down the stairs and held a press conference, surrounded by police and news media, the shotgun still wired tightly around Dick Hall's neck.
We interrupt our regular program schedule to bring you the following special report from ABC News.
Turn the goddamn cameras on. I'm gonna show you something. Read that, pal. Read it. Turn the cameras on. All three, you hold it. I want on national television. I've been called a kidnapper, an extortionist, a thug, and everything else. I want it on all three national channels. I've got friends all over the country. You read it.
February 10th. Okay, listen to little Tony.
Where are the cameras? I want them to see this guy. God damn it, you guys with those Kodaks, get out of the way.
February 10th, 1977. This statement is being made to try and state the items that Mr. Kiritsis alludes to as being the illegal...
Hold it. I want this goddamn thing understood. I'll read it. February 10th, 1977. I want a glass of water. This statement is being made to try and state the items that Mr. Kiritsis alludes, and I don't like that word. I charge, and they've admitted it. Alludes to as being illegal and unethical acts of the whole group. Number one, Eisner Roscoe. This lease negotiation approved the Kiritsis site and had a definite interest in building there. We showed Eisner Roscoe other sites, but to date they have not made any commitments to the best of our knowledge. Although we, the whole group, will use our best efforts to secure same if there is a proven interest. Number two, Eisner Roscoe, by the way, was my tenant. Give me a drink, pal. Give me a drink. This possible lessee was very interested in the Kiritsis site. We also showed them other sites. It is our understanding that Marsh built on another site which we had nothing to do with. That's because they couldn't steal them. Number three, Standard Grocery was very interested in the Kiritsis site. We showed them other sites. Number four, Restaurant. This was presented to us and was potentially a good business deal, but we found it impossible to agree on terms satisfactory to our best interest, their best interest. I went up there to borrow money to build a 10,000-foot restaurant that would have grossed between $1 million and $2 million a year, and these shopped it to somebody else. I had a lessee who guaranteed me $100,000 a year rent plus 10% over $1 million, and I could have built the building for $220,000 and put $100,000 worth of equipment in it. Number seven, Mr. M.L. Hall, this gentleman's father, also states that he personally takes responsibility for these improprieties. I'm going to frame that. I'm through. Where's my attorney? Where's my water?
Jack, give him the water. Here, Tony. Here's a drink.
All right, here's
Thanks,
some.
John.
Here's a drink, Tony. All right, everybody.
I want to thank the people that supported me. I want to thank the people that were fair. I'm sorry about my language.
and I'm sorry that this thing had to happen.
Tony, follow me.
Okay.
Follow John. Take you back there. We'll go with you. Dutchman, come on. We're right with you, Tony. The back shooters in. Watch these wires. On another wire. Ain't gonna stumble, baby. Hey, you're okay, baby. Come on, Dutchman. Jason, be careful. All right, I got it.
Tony's emotions quickly changed throughout the press conference. Many reporters thought he was going to shoot Dick Hall right then and there. Police Chief Bill Fisher, in an interview, said there was a plan in place. If Fisher pulled a handkerchief out of his pocket, it would signal the launch of that plan. Fisher would put a gun behind Tony's ear and shoot him, while another officer would jam the shotgun. Fisher said that he had reached into his pocket for the handkerchief 3 separate times, and put the handkerchief back each time. After this strange press conference, Tony was eventually led into a back room where paperwork from Meridian Mortgage was to be signed for the $5 million, as well as the immunity paperwork. During this time, Tony made some phone calls, claiming that he just robbed them of $5 million. This whole time, he still had the shotgun tied tightly around Dick Hall's neck. After the paperwork was signed, Dick was to be released. This went smoothly. Tony continued to hold on to the shotgun. Someone asked if it was really loaded. Tony said, "I want to do something," and he headed for the back door. The police shouted, "No, Tony, there's people out there." Tony opened the door, and he shot the shotgun off into the air, and he was immediately placed under arrest. Tony claimed that he was done dirty, and the police chief claimed that Tony promised to leave the shotgun upstairs and that voided the agreement of immunity. Dick Hall did a press conference later on, just happy to be alive and glad no one was hurt in the incident. 8 months later, Tony Kiritsis was tried on charges of kidnapping, armed robbery, armed extortion. He pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. But the state believed Tony was in his right mind, and he knew exactly what he was doing.
We have final verdicts in this case. Okay, will the defendant, Mr. Kiritsis, please rise and face the bench, sir. As to count 1, the form of the verdict is, we, the jury, find the defendant, Anthony G. Kiritsis, not guilty by reason of insanity. We further find that the defendant, Anthony G. Kiritsis, committed the act charged in count 1 of the information, and that at the time the defendant was insane and is therefore not guilty by reason of insanity. As to count 2, the form of the verdict is, we, the jury, find the defendant, Anthony G. Kiritsis, not guilty by reason of insanity. As to count 3 of the information, the form of the verdict is, we, the jury, find the defendant, Anthony G. Kiritsis, not guilty by reason of insanity.
I've got to play one plan.
Just a minute, Mr. Just a minute, please.
On October 21st, 1977, he was found not guilty by reason of insanity. 2 weeks later, he was declared incompetent. After the jury's decision, the state quickly shifted gears and said Tony was extremely ill and he needed to be locked up in a mental institution. Tony was held in a number of different hospitals from November 1977 to June 1981. He then went to the infirmary of the Indiana State Reformatory on a contempt citation for refusing to be examined. January 1st, 1985, was the deadline. A court order stated that he submit to a medical examination with or without his consent. The Indiana Supreme Court ruled that Tony could not be forced to undergo the examinations against his will. He was forced to stay locked up in state hospitals until 1987, when he agreed to see a psychiatrist outside of the state system. Tony Kiritsis was released January 1988 after spending 11 years in state custody. He was released when the state could not prove he was a danger to society or mentally ill. In 1990, Tony filed 101 lawsuits in Marion County Superior Court against almost everybody that was involved in his 1977 case. Tony died January 28, 2005 of natural causes at the age of 72. Dick Hall published a book, Kiritsis and Me, in 2017, detailing the horrifying 68 hours that he was forced to spend with Tony Kiritsis. On May 20th, 2022, Dick Hall died at the age of 87. So I hope you all enjoyed. I had fun making it, and we will see you on the next one. Peace.